So welcome back students. Today we will discuss about the king demand curve theory. The king demand curve theory, it is a theory which was developed by Professor Sweezy, which relates to an oligopoly market. So before we go on to this very main theory, let us uh, just have a little talk on what is an oligopolistic market. An oligopolistic market, it is a market form in which there are uh, a few number of sellers, okay, and each sellers they are selling or producing homogeneous or differentiated products. Besides the existence of few sellers as well as the differentiated uh, or a homogeneous products, other features is that there is an interdependence among those few sellers. That means interdependence in a sense like any move by one sellers will affect the other fellow sellers. That means, for example, if say a particular sellers try to lower the price of his good with the hope of obtaining more profits, his other fellow producers will also do the same. So besides interdependence among them, there's also uh, like each and every firm do concentrate or do pay extra attention on advertisement, okay, with the hope of maximizing more and more profits, with the hope of raising the demand for their products. Each and every firm or each and every sellers, they do really try their best to promote their sales through advertisement. And if I say advertisement, it might be through any means, okay, it might be through newspapers or through uh, social media, so on and so forth. So yes, a firm or firms under an oligopolistic market do really have to spend a lot on advertisement in order to increase their sales. Besides further, there's also a sense of competition, okay, a sense of competition did prevail in an oligopolistic market in which each and every firm or sellers, they try to compete one with the other in order to obtain more customers, in order to obtain more and more profits. Besides, there are no barriers, unlike under perfect competition. Talking about, unlike monopoly, there are no barriers on the entry or the exit of firms. Okay, that means firms are allowed to move in and move out according to their wishes. And also, there is a lack of uniformity among the firms, such as it might be one particular firm, the size is very, very small, whereas some other firms, their size might be very, very big, so on and so forth. And finally, talking about the demand curve, unlike other market forms whose demand curve, which is do slopes most often downwards, okay, here a demand curve under an oligopolistic market cannot be drawn accurately, okay, as it's not sure, and as such it is not a normal downward sloping demand curve. And further, there's also a unique pattern of pricing behavior among or in an oligopolistic markets. So these are the important features that are most often found in an oligopoly market. So now straight away let us go to this very theory, that is the king demand curve theory. It is a theory which was developed by Professor Sweezy. And here Professor Sweezy, he do really try to explain the price rigidities that often prevail or that is often observed in an oligopolistic market. What Sweezy assume here is that if any particular firm or if any particular producer try to uh, lower the price of his products with the intention of gaining more and more profits, his other fellow producers will also do the same. Okay, and this portion of his demand curve is relatively inelastic. On the other hand, if any particular producer try to raise or plan to increase the price of his product, yes, with the hope of maximizing profits. But with these steps, even though if he did undertake this step to gain more, his other fellow producers will not follow him. Okay, and this portion of his demand curve is said to be elastic. And in both these two situations, the two situation of raising prices or lowering prices, the demand curve of an oligopolistic market, it do really has a king at the prevailing market price, which did explain price rigidity. So now let's explain the price output relationship under this market form diagrammatically. Okay, looking at this very diagram, we can see the OX axis, which measuring the quantity or the level of output, the OY axis representing the price as well as the cost. In the in this very diagram, we also have this KPD, which is the demand curve. We also have this, which is a marginal revenue curve. And what has been assumed here, we assume that uh, this firm, under this market form, he is producing the OR level of output at the price OPO. So again, yes, starting from this very point P, okay, or starting from the price OPO, what happened was, suppose a firm try to lower, uh, say, let's first take the initial case when a situation when a firm try to increase the price of its product. So starting from this very point P, if an oligopolistic firm or if this particular firm try to raise his price level, that means try to raise his price, say from this rate or from OPO upwards, okay, okay, what has been assumed is that his fellow producers or his rivals, they will not follow him because they realize that if they do so, they'll be facing a loss because no customers, they are willing to buy a good which involve a high price. So with these steps taken by this particular producer, that means the step of raising his price, he alone will suffer, he alone will face the loss. Okay, because yes, his main intention, it is to gain more, it is to maximize more, but instead of gaining more, he is suffering a loss. Why is that? Is because the KP portion of his demand curve is said to be elastic, whereas the KA portion of his of his marginal revenue curve, it is positive. Further, let's have a look at another situation. Again, starting from point P, okay, let us suppose a producer try or plan to lower the price of his products, again with the hope, with intention of attracting more customers to gain more profits. So with this very move of his, by lowering the price of his products, his other fellow producers will also do the same. Okay, that means once this producer, let's say this producer A, he tried to lower the price of his good, his other fellow sellers will also do so, because they knew that if one of them lowered the price, most of the customers will demand his goods. That means they'll be facing a loss. So automatically, they will follow his path of lowering the price. But if he lowered the price also, the thing is, he will still suffer a loss. Okay. Uh, Suffer a loss in a sense like, or it might be because uh, the others might not follow him. Okay, I sorry, the others also follow that very same path. Okay, that means that that fall in the price is not only for his good, but for all the different goods that is available in that oligopoly market. And actually, why he suffer loss is because the main reason is because the PD portion, this PD portion of his demand curve is considered to be less elastic. And further, looking at his marginal revenue curve, okay, looking at his marginal revenue curve below the point R, it is negative. Okay, so what we can conclude here is that if you look at the earlier situation, a situation of raising prices, looking at this very particular part, that means if he plan to raise his price, he will suffer loss. If he also plan to lower the price of his goods, he will also suffer a loss. Because why? Of the nature of his demand curve. So in both the two situations, what happened was he's incurring a loss. So if he is a reasonable producer, he will he will be satisfied, or he will stick to the prevailing price that prevail in the market. That means he will be satisfied with the OPO price and enjoy a profits that he obtained. Okay, so we'll stop here for today. Okay.